Welcome to the Viking Mars. We're in beautiful Sydney, as you can see right now, but we're going on a 30-day adventure around the east coast of Australia, through Indonesia, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, and we're going to end up in Thailand. So we want you to come along with us. We've got a lot of adventure ahead, and we're really looking forward to it.
We are going to show you around the ship, take you along to the best excursions, and most importantly, tell you what it's like to spend a month on a cruise ship. Surprisingly, there are a few pros and cons that you wouldn't expect. First, we should mention the boarding process in Sydney because it's a bit more complicated than expected. First, there are 2 cruise terminals in Sydney, so it's important to know which one you need to go to. Second, Australia still has some strict COVID testing rules, so make sure you've read through everything. One couple got split up from the cruise because the husband tested positive.
We just arrived on the Viking Mars, and the first impressions are through the roof. We've been on a Viking river before, but this is our first ocean cruise, and it looks like we have some really great things in store for us.
This thing looks really nice. It's only about 930 passengers on here and a really nice crew. But what's great is it's got the Viking aesthetic. Everything is new. This boat was just built. It's less than a year old. And it really has this kind of understated, elegant look to it. Seems to be really in line with the way we think and want to kind of spend our time. A lot of areas to sit and be away as well as be with folks. Beautiful bars, restaurants, a lot of light and airy kind of beautiful colors. So we're super excited to spend almost a month on this thing and get to know it and come along with us.
If you're anything like us, the first place you head to on a cruise ship is the pool area. We found out that the main pool is heated and can be enjoyed in almost any weather given its retractable roof. There is also an infinity pool at the aft overlooking the wake of the ship. Guests also spend a lot of their time in the center of the ship called the Viking living room. It has comfortable seating, a bar, computers, and there is nearly always musicians playing calming classical music. But time to check out the cabin, of course, and the Viking Ocean cabins are some of the largest at sea. They all have verandas and are quite spacious and modern.
We were about to head over to listen to the pianist before dinner, and we just happened to be walking through here and looking at this beautiful view. It's about 6 p.m. and it's absolutely beautiful out here on the water, out in the ocean, heading toward Brisbane.
We'll show you more of the ship later, but let's talk some about what the first week on the cruise has been like. We've been sailing up the Australian coast, we had a brief stop in Newcastle, and now Brisbane. The coastline has been stunning, but honestly we found that the stops didn't have a lot of activities that we were interested in. The really amazing stuff is yet to come.
One of our favorite times on the cruise is this time of day when we're at the end of the day and we're pulling away from the city that we've been in. Behind me is Brisbane in the distance with the beautiful sunset, and it's just gorgeous out here. A lot of really nice air and wind and the sun through the clouds, and a really neat view off the back of the boat, including this one down here off the infinity pool. This is a really neat perspective, and it's just really nice to have this view and this air and all this space up here. We love it. We're continuing our tour around the eastern coast of Australia, and we've made it up to Cairns, and it's a beautiful place. We're actually sitting here on a tour in the Botanic Gardens now. Really lush place. Cairns gets more rain than anywhere else in Australia. It's the wet tropics. So they get a significant amount of rain, so everything's lush, and they get very hot summers and humidity, and so that gives you a lot of beautiful flowers. So it's a really neat place to explore. There's supposed to be really some beautiful orchids and other tropical plants around here that you can see. So we're going to explore it for a few minutes and see what it's about.
We're in the conservatory right now, and this is where you can go to see the orchids. They're amazing.
Something that's pretty interesting here and unique is that there are a number of signs that tell you how the indigenous aboriginals used a lot of these plants for construction and medicinal and food use. So that's pretty cool.
We're here in Cairns Beach, and it's been an interesting tour so far. The tour director has been telling us all this stuff, and some of it's scary that can happen here. He started out talking about all the crocodiles. They do have significantly sized crocodiles here, and they're everywhere. There's two different versions, but there's one version that can really get you. And of course, most of that happens with people that are not doing the right thing at the right time, but it does happen. And then we're here now at the beach where he was just talking to us about the fact that it's jellyfish season. They have two types of jellyfish, and basically one of them, the box jellyfish, can totally kill you in 3 minutes, and the other can just make you incredibly painful. You probably won't die, but you'll probably go into cardiac arrest and do 2 or 3 other things, and they have to give you CPR for 2 hours if they know what happened to you. So in jellyfish season, they put these nets out here that supposedly allow you to swim without fear of the jellyfish. However, he did tell us that a lot of times the jellyfish can get through there, so he doesn't recommend you do this. He didn't have to tell me anything about that. I'm not getting anywhere near that net or this jellyfish season beach at all. I'm right here on land and loving it.
So we thought we would take just a few minutes to share with you what a typical day is like on a cruise like this. I mean, it's a 30-day cruise, right? So you kind of get into a rhythm about what your typical day is like. And we
Very
thought
different from a 7-day cruise, right?
Yeah,
where you're
I think
just
it is.
on and off. This is more, you're here for a while.
So I think it's that a typical day depends on one thing. Is it going to be an excursion day or is it going to be a non-excursion day? So let's explain why that is. So in many ports, most ports, you're going to have a set of excursions where you can choose from to go out and experience wherever you are. In this particular one, it's a Asia Pacific cruise. So we're going to a lot of different islands throughout Indonesia and other places. So they usually give you a set of excursions that you can choose from. With Viking, they always give you an included one. So there's a free cruise, but you have a choice to get some others. And the reason why that makes a difference in your daily routine is that it can be anywhere from 3 hours to a 9-hour cruise excursion.
So you've got a very different day. If it's an excursion day, you generally have to get up early, probably by an alarm. You got to probably eat breakfast. We can't skip because you're probably going to be off somewhere and not able to. You got to definitely have coffee, right? So, and then in addition to that, you've got to figure out, are there special visa requirements? Where do I need to meet? Do I need to be on shore? Is there a tender? All these things. And of course, if you're like us and it's on a bus, you want a certain seat on the bus. So we try to get there a little bit early. So, the thing is, there's just a lot to do on excursion days, and they're about 3 to 9 hours long.
Yeah.
So on excursion days, you're pretty much going to get up, you're going to get out, you're going to get on your excursion, and then you're going to come back for either lunch or dinner.
Depending on the length of
Depending on the length,
excursion.
right? And generally, we're kind of tired, so we have dinner, we have drinks. If there's a show, we'll go to one. Many times they schedule the shows around lesser kind of packed days. But those excursion days, we get up, we get it done, we come back, we're usually pretty tired, we relax a little bit, we have dinner, and then we go to bed.
So let's talk now about a non-excursion day, which honestly is probably our favorite.
Our favorites.
It won't be for everybody. A lot of people live for the excursions. We travel so much, so I think we have the opportunity to really choose wisely about what really works for us. So a non-excursion day will typically be a sea day where there are no excursions, but others are, like for us, we might choose not to do an excursion, which is kind of nice. So kind of a tip for you. If you're in a position where you can skip an excursion on a non-sea day, you kind of have to ship to yourself. That's
nice.
really nice. So you get your pick of the seat next to the pool. You get your pick of chairs to do your reading and relaxing. So that's kind of
like having your own yacht, really.
Yeah,
it's
it
nice.
really is. So let's talk about your typical day for a non-excursion day. So we wake up and we start to catch up on the news.
News, coffee.
News, coffee. And then we're going to make our way at the same time to the gym. Fortunately, we're on the Viking Mars, but they all have a similar gym, and it's really, really nice. Some great equipment, ellipticals, treadmills, anything that you want is probably there.
Great weights, all kind of stuff. I mean, really wonderful equipment.
And then after working out, Viking ships have really great spa area.
Nice.
And we will spend how long in that?
30 minutes. Really nice thermo pool, and they've got a steam room and everything. And it's, it's for the whole ship. It's co-ed, I guess. So you wear your bathing suit, and it's a really nice area with a lot of facilities. So do that about 30 minutes, then shower. Then,
oops. It's
Mai Tai.
Mai Tai time, or whatever drink we're going to have in the morning. That starts the day to unwind. And we typically do that in one of the quiet areas.
Like we're sitting in now.
Yeah, there's no one else here, just us, so that's really nice. Although it's a excursion day, but not for us.
Yeah,
so
we excurged yesterday, so we're taking off today.
So we'll do that, and then it's in a little while it's going to be lunchtime, so we'll go and have lunch, usually in what they call the World Cafe. That's kind of a buffet kind of place.
Or by the pool, there's hot dogs, hamburgers, fries, onion rings, that kind of stuff, which is really good too.
So we may spend some time at the pool on one of the deck chairs, or we may find one of the areas to just read. They have generally good internet here, which
Pretty
is
good, yeah. And then it's almost 4 o'clock, it's tea time.
Yes.
Tea time.
And that's unique to Viking cruises, and I think one or two other cruises where they have a dedicated tea time between
It's
4
like
and 5.
English proper tea, yeah. So they come and they have the big 3-level plates of sandwiches and desserts, and they have scones, and then we can pick our tea. They have hot tea for us to drink, so that's nice. And they usually, almost always, have either a piano or a string duet that plays along. It's really a nice experience.
And after about an hour of that, it's time to go shower and prepare for the evening. So we'll do our shower, and then there's usually
A cocktail. Okay, we have a cocktail.
You're
There's
learning too much about us.
Wonderful, wonderful pianist here, and on most of them. Or Sergey, or another a string duet that they have in the atrium with this beautiful bar. So we do that before dinner, and then dinner.
And then dinner, and there's several different venues on this ship. Not as many as maybe some of the other mega ships, right? But
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we're okay with that.
Yeah.
There's the restaurant, there's the cafe, that's the buffet. There's Manfredish, which is Italian. What am I missing?
Chef's table, which is kind of exploratory, high-end kind of cuisine. A lot of presentation, not a lot of food, but it's fun.
And the service is just fantastic.
Wonderful.
And because we're on a 30-day cruise, we've really gotten to know everybody. So it's like we're going to see some friends, which is kind of nice. And then it's usually showtime. And I didn't think that Viking would be big on shows. Usually it's the megaships that have the big productions. But this is kind of a toned down,
smaller.
But it's still
I've really enjoyed
really
it.
good.
Yeah. Either individual acts, or they have a group of 4 singers, and they have a house band that's really good that do production shows. They're not big elaborate things like he said, but I'm actually enjoying them a lot. And then they've got artists that come on board. They've got a band here that we love in the bar, as well as the string quartet and a guy that's playing guitar, Philip. Right. So
he's from
a lot of
Scotland.
A lot of good acts.
And then the biggest surprise for me was when they bring on special artists from the local destination that you're in. So like
fun.
in Bali, we had this amazing set of dancers who came in and did local dancers who did this amazing performance. And in Jakarta, we had some great Indonesian dancers who came
as well as a vocalist that was and a great band. And they really it seems like they really enjoyed doing it. I didn't feel like it was like a phone it in thing. It seemed like it was really something that they enjoyed doing.
Great joy bringing their culture to these random Americans who came to the country. And then if we have a little bit left in us, there is a late night venue here called Torshaven? Torshaven.
Yeah.
Where the band that you mentioned will play for us, and we have it's a kind of a nightclub kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's a cool kind of club, and we have been pulled in to dance with a lot of random strangers, but we've had some fun with it. I think there's some video of that somewhere. But it's fun.
We'll see.
Good martinis, great service, and and then about 10 o'clock or 11, we are done. They go until 3 or 4 or whatever it is, and that's long past when I'll know what that place looks like.
And that's our day.
That's our day.
The days passed faster than expected, and soon we found ourselves leaving Australia behind and entering into Southeast Asian waters and a different part of the world. There was even something waiting for us in our cabin to mark the occasion.
So we came back to our cabin and we found something on our beds, certificates. But we're like, why are we getting certificates? Well, apparently we're now part of a club of people who have crossed the
Equator. And we have a certificate suitable for framing, so we had to share.
The surprises kept coming because then we got to satisfy a lifelong curiosity and come face to face with one of the fiercest creatures on Earth, the Komodo dragon. We walked on a kind of boardwalk raised slightly above the ground. This prevented the dragons from attacking us defenseless tourists and also to not disturb them.
We're here and we just saw our first Komodo dragon. This is a male, about 15 years old, and he's kind of posing for us. It's really cool. These things are huge. They were just describing how they only eat meat and they can take down a water buffalo. So these things are not something you want to mess with. So we just finished our tour of the Komodo Dragon Park, this national park here on Rinca Island, and I got to tell you, it was really cool. It was super hot. Of course, we're in Indonesia, so that's not unexpected, but the guides were great, told us some really good stories, and these are some pretty amazing animals. We're now taking the tender back. So the trip itself was about an hour. And fortunately, we had some umbrellas because the sun was super hot, but it was a great time. We learned a lot, and I would definitely recommend it. I think Chris would too, right, Chris?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was super hot, but it was so cool to see these prehistoric animals.
Yeah, it was great.
A great experience.
Prehistoric animals, biggest lizards on Earth. Bye.
Bye.
Soon we reached the lovely island of Bali. First impressions weren't great because we were just so overwhelmed by the traffic, but that changed a bit when we got the opportunity to go inside some of the temples.
We just entered this temple complex and they're getting us a scarf. We don't have to have a sarong here because we're not going inside, but we do need a scarf. I think it's 13th century, red brick, beautiful, and he's showing us how to do this scarf now.
We also toured a local museum to learn more about the island and its culture.
We're in the museum in Bali, the Balinese Museum, and it's got a lot of different aspects from farming to rituals, and we just went through a section where they actually had special coins that were very spiritual in nature, very expensive. So there's a lot of history here, and there's even a lot of things that they use current day in their culture and their religion and their way of life.
A truly unique experience was a walk through the traditional market.
We're in the temple next to the market, and this is where the vendors come every day to pray before they open their shop. They give offerings, and it's a part of their tradition. They always do this before they open their shops. There are multiple layers of smells that you encounter here. The spices are just all over the air, and they all kind of come together in a really neat way.
in the States, you get so used to only seeing things like apples and bananas and oranges and just the usual suspects when it comes to fruit. But it's always great to travel to Asia, and you get to see all of these amazing shapes of other kinds of fruits and vegetables that you never thought existed.
The market was really cool, incredibly authentic. They said this is where they really shop here. And so this is not a tourist market. This is a working market where people that live here shop. Tons of vegetables, tons of stuff, everything grown on the island, they said. Some handicrafts, a lot of spices, a lot of clothes upstairs. They weren't aggressive with us at all. They were trying to get us to buy the clothes, but overall it's a really cool experience. A lot of sounds and smells and things that really let you know you're really in authentic Bali.
Back on the boat, we were treated to a performance by some local Balinese dancers. Afterwards, we reflected on what we thought makes the experience on a month-long cruise different from your typical cruise, both good and bad.
So Michael and I haven't talked about this at length very much, but it's a really good question. What is it that surprised us about a 30-day cruise as opposed to your typical length cruise that's 7 to 14 days, which is what we've typically done in the past?
Yeah. I think what surprised me is, well, first of all, you do kind of fall into a routine. That some of the novelty wears off when you're not just here for 7 or 10 or 14 days. We're here and kind of almost establishing a routine like we do if we're in a city at an Airbnb. So some of the novelty wears off. I'm still enjoying it absolutely as much as always, but I think you can only enjoy things that are really special so much before they get to be routine. And you can kind of get diminishing returns. For example, the restaurants, the food, the service, the drinks, the whatever it is. At some point, it becomes such a repetitive thing maybe, or it's just so familiar that it's a little less special.
And
now, I loved it.
Is it a surprise to you?
It's a surprise. I don't know if I'd ever get rid of, the joy that I have, and I'm still enjoying it. It's just not at the same level. So I think for we're on this one 30 days, and I think we have about a week left, right? So I think by the time we get through with this one, I'll be ready to go do something else, which fortunately we're doing. But we've thought about things like these world cruises that are 130 to 180 to 210
Yeah, we
days.
were exploring these very long cruises before we came on this cruise. And so how do you feel about it now?
I don't know that I want to do that. You're really paying for it, and so much of what you're paying for is the ship. And of course the excursions are all different, the ports you go into, but they're also somewhat limited. And I think so if I'm gonna spend that kind of money, I think I'd probably combine shorter cruises with land trips, kind of like what we generally do.
Yeah, because our whole thing is the deep travel and slow travel kind of concept.
Yeah.
And so we really want to spend a lot of time in a place and get to know the people and the places and do so many
100%.
things. But with these cruises, you get 3 to 9 hours in a port.
And you're on this luxurious vessel, you have this great food, everything's provided, but it's pretty set. And so, and we're spending $1,000 a day. We're spending about $1,000 a day on this cruise. So for $1,000 a day, we could go to, many places and stay months for the same money. So I think, now that doesn't mean I don't want to come back. It doesn't mean I don't ever want to keep doing, I do want to keep doing this.
So what is it about the cruises that you value then?
They give me a respite. I love being on the water. I love the fact that the food and the gym and somebody's making up your bed twice a day, and I don't have to think about where I'm eating. I don't have to plan where the good restaurants are. I don't have to get in a cab or walk. All that is really nice, and I love it. But it's too much of a good thing, I think. I think after 30 days, I'm going to be ready to do something else, and then I'm going to be ready to come back on again.
Okay. If I would love to hear from anyone who've done cruises more than 30 days, some of these regional or world cruises. I'd love to know your experience and to have a different take on this. So, we hope you thought this was valuable. Anything else you would add?
No, let us know what you think. I wonder, I will tell you this, I wonder if we'll change our perspective as we get older. As we get older,
Yes.
Some of what we're doing now is going to be really nice.
That's true. We won't be able to do all that deep travel and hiking,
hiking
the
10 miles
Dolomites
a
or
day and all
wherever
this
we
stuff. And then having everything right here is something I can clearly see being beneficial.
very
So
good point.
that's a question for me. But as for now, I think the best way for us to keep loving cruises and leveraging them to their highest value is to do it. I think a 7-week cruise is too short. By the time I get on, I'm getting off.
Yeah.
So I think 2 weeks to a month is about right. And then trying to use them strategically to either go to or come from places that we spend on land is the way to go. So that's my thoughts.
Good
So
one.
let us know what you think.
2 of the other Southeast Asian ports we visited were the island nation of Singapore and the massive Indonesian capital of Jakarta. These adventures are too big to fit in this video, so we'll cover them in a future video.
Tomorrow is day 30, and this cruise comes to an end, but it's okay. The adventure continues.
Absolutely. We're going to land in Thailand tomorrow, and we're really looking forward, although we're going to really miss this wonderful experience on the boat. We're going to spend a significant amount of time in both Phuket and Bangkok. So I hope you'll join us and check out our adventures as we then go explore Thailand. See you then.
Before we land in Bangkok, look out for our next video about our first impressions of the island nation of Singapore.